All right, motherfuckers, that was brand new L0rd Kha0s with The Great Reset. And guess who the fuck we have on the line with us right now, man? L0rd Kha0s.
All the way from Tampa, Florida. How's it going, everybody? Thank you, Zach, and Metal Devastation Radio for having me.
All the way from Tampa, Florida. Hell yeah, dude, like Obituary.
Yeah, the old school Tampa, Florida, man. We're still getting it done down here. The scene might not be as alive as it once was, but there's some of us old farts still carrying the torch.
Fuck yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, you know what? You guys have some of my favorite fucking death metal bands for sure, man. I gotta say.
Yeah, it's weird how that all worked out. You know, some of those guys started up in Buffalo, Malevolent Creation, and Cannibal Corpse, and somehow they ended up down here in Florida, I guess because of More Sound. And then, you know, the scene exploded, the Morbid Angels and the Deicides, and Death, of course, obviously the forefathers of all that. And just it was a good scene to be in, man. And I was here as a teenager, not even realizing it was really happening. You know, that was just what I knew. That was the local scene. I didn't know this was the epicenter of something, you know, giant.
Oh, fuck, man. Well, it definitely is, and you are carrying the torch right now with this record for sure, man. Tell us what's going on in your world, man.
Oh, man, it's just been a wild ride, you know. This whole concept of this album that I've put out kind of has been one of those things, you know. I'm just in my 40s, and, you know, I was in some bands, you know, growing up, and nothing quite extreme metal, but, you know, on the heavier side, and you know, just band practices that never went anywhere and a couple shows here or there. And, you know, I would write and record music. I've always been a fan of, you know, recording stuff. I've had old four-track tapes, you know, where you're bouncing stuff to the left channels and right channels, and, you know, early computer trying to record off of a microphone in my bedroom with a pillow over the speaker, you know, and just awful sounding stuff, but just trying to capture the art of it. And, it's just one of those things I'd always said. It's like, man, I would just really like to take a couple of those songs I thought were really, really good, and if I could just get a good drummer and get into a studio, but, you know, it's expensive, and, you know, as you get older and you're adulting, you don't have time for that stuff anymore. So I just kind of got tired of saying, hey, let's get off my butt and do it. And it's just kind of, it's steamrolling from there, you know. It's the pandemic kind of hit, and I turned 40, and it's like, man, if you just don't do this, you're never going to do it. And, you know, it's just finally one day I said, look, I'm going to look into this digital age of recording now, because back when I used to record, it was, you know, all analog, and digital was just kind of coming along. And I found, you know, you can kind of do this on your own. I went out and picked up a little Focusrite, you know, Solo, and I was able to get my sound right into the computer, and found out about, you know, Reaper, a pretty affordable digital workstation that I was able to navigate around, and found plugins, you know, like Will Putney and all those things, and just couldn't believe how easy it was. And it was kind of, from there, it kind of sparked, and it just, the ball kept rolling.
Hell yeah, man. So tell us, like, as far as laying down the tracks, like, how do you, what's your process?
Oh, man, so, you know, it kind of starts with the click track, right? Like, a lot of the songs I wrote for this album were songs I had already written. So the concept of the album with MLCXL is actually shorthand for Midlife Crisis 40, if you spell that out in Roman numeral terms. So that was kind of the rib there. So a lot of this music was stuff I've written. So if you do pick up the CD and listen to it, it starts kind of with the stuff I wrote as a teenager, real basic, couple notes here or there. But it's like, man, if we're gonna do this thing, let's include all of that. Like, I wasn't ashamed of it or embarrassed, but it was some of my first stuff. It's like, you know, the same three notes over and over and over, like you did in your first band. And you know, so a lot of these songs already had kind of the structure and foundation. The only ones that didn't were the last three. The MLCXL, Catch and No Release, and The Great Reset were the only songs that were really written during this recording period. So it kind of helped that I had the framework laid out and kind of had the click track. And I found a really great drummer on Fiverr, so a lot of this album is actually like farmed out work, you know. So I am quote unquote L0rd Kha0s. That is my project. That name comes just from a stage name I had in 2000. You know, it's like, I've always had this Lord moniker. Back in the old AOL days, it was Lord Nates, you know, Satan backwards. But someone had taken the O, you know, so I just turned the O to a 0. So we mean L0rd Natas. And then that over time in my stage name became L0rd Kha0s. Somewhere just, it was something different. That was what I was going to go with. And but anyways, get off track a little bit. So a lot of these already had a structure and a framework. So I found some really good guys on Fiverr. A drummer by the name of Roman, I can't even pronounce his last name. He's a drummer for Catastrophe, was advertising drumming services on there. And I reached out to him. I said, hey, man, can we do 3 or 4 tracks, at a deal if I do a couple? And he said, sure. And this is right around the time the first little bit of stimulus money came. I said, okay, well, I could spend that. And he basically provided the drums, and he provided it all in the Reaper session. I mean, it was the whole session, all the drums, all 14 tracks. And I was like, wow, that's cool. So all I have to do now is just lay my guitars, and it would be, multi-tracking and some punch-ins and punch-outs here or there. I'm certainly not a professional touring musician, so I'm not going to go and say these are all the best one takes, So there's definitely a little bit of studio fudging in there where I needed to, but it wasn't about the performance per se, as I wanted to capture the art. So really just got those tracks from Roman. He made it super simple, and I was able to go in there and basically multi-track it, guitar left, guitar right, bass, and that's how we went.
Wow. Well, it definitely sounds, it sounds professional as fuck, man, and that's cool that you have real drums on there too, because I know, a lot of us one-man bands, Zion 1 too, have to use drum machines, and I'm not knocking them, there's quite a bit you can do with them, but
yeah, they've come a long way being able to tune them a certain way and make them sound like very real, and all the MIDI packs and all the plugins, like you can make them sound very good.
Yeah. I remember the first demos that I did when I was playing around was actually with a fucking video game. It was a Music Generator.
Oh yeah, MTV Music Generator. I made a couple songs on that for sure. And I actually tried using that to be like a pseudo drum machine for a little while.
It didn't sound too bad. Like I did some edits on it, and fucked with it a little bit and had it, and then just piled some fucking guitar tracks on top of it. But and then after that, tune track, and then but. That's...
Yeah, it definitely did the job. And that was one of my requirements when I did this. Is I wanted to have a death metal drummer. I knew drummers growing up, and I've known some guys in some of these bands. That's the best thing about being in the death metal scene, but specifically down here in Florida, right now the scene isn't booming. So when you go to these shows, there's like 30 people. So you see these guys in the crowd. You can buy them a beer and talk with them. So, I got to really hang out and watch these guys. And it's like, if I'm going to do this, the requirement is it's got to be real drums. I don't want to do this with fake drums. I want a real metal drummer. So I went out and found one, and there's a ton of guys on Fiverr that are doing it, some more expensive than others. Roman just happened, a lot of this album, a lot of the things that happened when this were right place, right time. I was patient. It wasn't like I had to do this thing overnight or in a week. I had a record label breathing down my neck. I could truly take my time. It took about almost 2 years from the time the concept came to the time that album came out, October 29th. It was almost 2 years to the day.
Wow, man. Well, that's really cool, man. So tell us, what's in the pipes coming up next for L0rd Kha0s? What kind of plans do you have?
Oh man, so the intent of this thing was to be a one and done. That's the reason it went full album. It started as 4 songs. Let me just take the 4 of my favorite songs and do those. And I got the drums for them, and I got the guitars recorded. And then another stimulus check came, and I was like, well, I asked Roman, hey, can we do 10 more? He's like, yeah, absolutely. And now I've got 14, 15, 16 tracks or something. And I'm like, man, well, now it's just guitars, and it's me on bass. And look, I play bass like a guitar. It's not like I'm adding any dynamic other than low end. It's not like you're getting any cool fills or anything. And so I started thinking, well, I wonder if I could find a singer on Fiverr. And this is right around the time, a third stimulus check hits, So it's now I've got 16 tracks and singers for them. And a couple of my friends locally helped out on some of the songs. I had a couple, I probably have 4 or 5 different people singing on the album, me included on the 2 bonus tracks. As best I can in my black metal style, it's about all I can do. My death metal growl these days, for whatever reason, is just not there anymore. But, so now I've got 16, 17 tracks with drums and vocals. So now I'm like, well, maybe I can get a bass player to play a little bit. So the last 3 tracks, the 3 that got written during this session, I'm like, let's get actual good bass on these. And I had this guy Gavin Brooks, who is just a Fiverr bass beast. He's doing everybody's stuff. Lent his hand on those last 3 tracks. So now it's now we've got all this, and it's like, what's next? Well, this is my catalog. This is my entire life's writing. It's no longer just these 4 tracks. And so the idea was, let's just do it. I'm only going to do this once. I'm already this far. Let's just push it to the end. Now let's make a CD from it. Before, it was just going to be a quick little digital release up on CD Baby, and get it out there digitally. And I reached out to, some family and friends, say, hey, would anybody be interested in buying this thing if I actually made a CD? And I had a lot of great responses, and I put together like a little, fundraiser. I'm a brewer by my day job, so I had some cool little perks. If you donate this much, I'll get you a special beer. And we did a T-shirt, and we did the whole thing proper. As best I can. We've been doing that. So I even had most of the tracks are on Customs Forge. If any of your fans out there are Rocksmith players, you can actually go into Customs Forge if you have CDLC and download these songs to play them. I've been hanging out with people who do the streams on Twitch who do that kind of thing on Rocksmith and having them play the song. So I'm really trying to get it out there. But so what's next? To answer your question, sorry, my short story long is kind of the thing I do. I'm famous for. I really don't know. I'm kind of kicking it around right now. Kind of have this idea. There's, I got most of the songs out. There's a couple, that I had to gloss over just because of the time of a CD, how much I could fit on there. But I've kind of had this inkling to maybe do like an EP after this, maybe some sort of black metal EP or black and thrash or maybe just cover songs or something. So I don't know if I've got this all out of my system yet. So I got my stuff out, but I'm kind of kicking around the idea of maybe doing something else. But probably in a year or so. Again, this press process has been like 2 years, and I'm so ready to have my nights back and my weekends and relax and not go from working to come home and kind of doing work, because at some point I don't say the fun or magic left, but it was a job all of a sudden. It's like, man, now there's a stress and pressure and people are waiting for a CD and I got to get this mix and I got to find someone who can do this. And, of course, doing this all on no budget, just, basically out of personal, expenses.
Wow, man. All right. So, I got to rewind a little bit, dude, because you mentioned brewing fucking beer, and
yeah,
you grabbed my attention right there, man. What
metal and beer go hand in hand for sure.
Hell yeah, dude! So tell us about this beer, man.
Oh man, so I work at a brewery. It's called Bay Borough Brewing out here in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm pretty much the head brewer out there, and we do a little bit of everything, man. I like to say I focus in beer-flavored beer, and the world of beer right now is just crazy nuts with fruited sours this and donut, this and that. And my focus is more beer-flavored beer. I'm a big fan of German, stuff, Hefeweizens and Doppelbocks and Maibocks and just good German lagers and good Belgian beers and just more beer-flavored beer, Obviously, in the market win, we have to have some of that kind of wild and kind of out there stuff. That's what people ask for. Like, look, I'll brew, what you ask. Whatever people are going to come in and pay for, I'll definitely brew it. I don't care if it's lemonade or at this point we're doing seltzers and ciders and stuff too. People are asking for it. So look, you're going to buy it, I'll make it.
Fuck yeah, man.
We're a little brewery. Basically, I have a 2-barrel system for anybody at home. It's basically like 60 to 75 gallons at a time. We are not the size of Budweiser or a Yingling or anything like that. We're definitely hyper local. We're trying to get our roots in. And we're in a pretty competitive market in St. Pete. There's 13 different breweries down there. So we're learning about that and just trying to provide a great experience when you come in. It's not just about beer. We always have music. We always have events. We're trying to do what we can to give people a good experience.
Hell yeah, man! That's awesome, dude. That is awesome. So tell us about some of these songs. Do you have? Are there stories behind some of these songs? It sounds like you've had some of these for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I've always just been a guitarist, so a lot of these songs have never had lyrics on them until this album, and that's been one of the tougher things because I can sing okay, I can carry tune, but I'm not a writer, I can't sit down and write this beautiful poetry, and I'm still amazed that I've been through this process. To God, there's guys who just crank out pages of this stuff, and the couple songs I did help write or rearrange, it took weeks in some cases to write a song, The Great Reset is the only song that I kind of really rewrote everything, So part of the Fiverr deal is a lot of the vocalists on Fiverr didn't want to do the lyrics. They're like, look, if you have lyrics, I'll sing them, but it's too cumbersome to make lyrics. It's not worth my time or money. So I tried to farm lyric making out to people on Fiverr to do it, and just nothing ever really resonated. I paid a little bit of money here or there, $10, $15 here, write these lyrics, and nothing ever really resonated. But the ones that came through for the Great Reset, even though the lyrics he wrote are all gone, I mean, I didn't leave but maybe one line. It started kind of triggering some ideas. You know, I change a line here or there. Like, okay, what can I rhyme with that? And I kind of started learning the process of kind of wordsmithing and crafting it. And lo and behold, I kind of got on the story of like Paradise Lost and the fallen angels from heaven kind of theme. And all of a sudden, this fictional story kind of came out about, you know, these old heavenly and devinly kind of creatures and stuff kind of battling for power here on Earth way back when. And at some point, the Earth has enough and basically forces the Great Reset. That's kind of the short version. But I was real proud of that one. Again, that took 3 or 4 weeks of just an hour or two, just like scrutinizing every line, going like, how's this going to work? What's it going to do? And eventually just kind of happened. Another cool one that we kind of wrote on is Catch and No Release, which is probably the most ridiculous lyrics you're ever going to read for a song. I had a friend of mine, Ryan, from Australia. He and I have been on like a Malevolent Creation fan pages for years. I met him 20 years ago, and we still chat. And he hits me up and he says, hey, man, I've got this crazy lyric about this guy from a news story in Florida, and it was a Florida man catches alligator and keeps her as sex slave or something like that. That was the headline. and it was, I hate to bust anybody's bubble, it was a fake story. It's like an Onion kind of news article.
Yeah.
But I was like, dude, this just might work, because I do have like a grindcore based song, and I think you might be playing it tonight, Catch and No Release. It's a 1.5 minute banger that's just da 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 da. And I said, you know, a song about gator rape might just fit in this grindcore theme. So we took the couple lines he gave me, and we crafted this ridiculous song about a man who kept an alligator as a sex slave. And as I went through the process, it kind of dawned on me where at one point the gutturals kick in. And I'm like, this could be from the guy's point of view. So the rest of the song is like us kind of discovering about him. And then when the gutturals kick in, it's like him defending himself for his actions. He's basically saying, hey, she was trying to eat me, so I'm teaching her a lesson for being so naughty. You know, so, you know, some weird stuff. But it's been wild. Again, I'm not a lyric writer by any means.
Very cool, man. Very cool. All right, I got some questions for you coming in from the listeners.
Absolutely.
Secret Weapon wants to know, have you ever seen U-Haul trucks in your neighbor's driveways while you were recording?
No, I have not seen U-Hauls in the neighbor's driveways while recording, but next time I'll be on the lookout, because it sounds like something I should be looking out for. I can't say I've been looking for it. So.
Another question, if you could tour with anybody, who would you like to tour with?
Oh, man, that's a tough question. My favorite band of all time is Malevolent Creation. I mean, just to me, they were the perfect style of thrash and death metal. And as much as I like the deicides and the Satan occult stuff, my favorite part of Malevolent Creation, it was never about the devil. It was always about war and just humanity and stuff. So it might be fun to tour with those guys, but I think they're getting up there now. I'm not sure how well they're off on touring these days, but that might be fun.
Oh, yeah. That first fucking record from Malevolent, dude.
Oh, dude, it's a banger. Front to back, 1 to 10.
Hell yeah, man.
And that drummer's insane. He doesn't stop.
It definitely had a thrash feel to it too. Like I remember I had a friend back in middle school in the early 90s, and he had that cassette tape, and he told me he didn't like it. And he was like, "Here, dude, you can have this." And I was like, "What the fuck?" And when I looked at the album cover, and I was like, "This is fucking awesome." It's on Roadrunner. Yeah. I'm like, it's got to be badass, you know, because at the time, everything on Roadrunner.
It's funny, Malevolent Creation is a band that passed me by somehow. Like, I'm kind of weird. Like when I get into something, I'm into it. So I was totally into Deicide and Cannibal Corpse and Morbid Angel and Slayer. And for some reason, Malevolent was just off my radar. So I didn't find them until like 2000, 2001. I was like, how did I miss these guys? And, you know, obviously fell immediately in love with the Fine Art of Murder. I mean, to me, it's just absolute perfection. And Venom, the one that came after, it's good. 10 Commandments. So those 3 albums are albums that, like, I don't skip a track. I don't fast forward an intro. I mean, from the beginning to end, I just listen to it and absorb it.
Yeah, man. I got to see him live one time in a small dive bar in Phoenix, Arizona, when I was living out there. And Brett Hoffman was still with them at the time.
Right.
And man,
rest in peace.
Dude, it was awesome, man. It was right up on the stage, man. 1 foot up on the stage, head banging right with the band.
Yeah. Yeah, when he was in his prime and fresh, you know, I mean, he'd had some issues, I think, early in his career with substances and stuff, and wasn't giving good performances. But I think in the 2000s, when he came back in the band and had his head on a little straighter and was rested, I mean, dude, that dude slayed live.
To be honest, I was so drunk that night. I don't know how good of a performance they were actually. To me, it was great, you know. But it was definitely a cool experience. Overkill was supposed to play that night, and they canceled because of some reason. But I showed up at the place anyway because I already had a ticket. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I got there, the bouncer outside was like, "Overkill canceled, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Well, what the fuck is that playing in there?" And he's like, "That's Malevolent Creation." I'm like, "Oh." Let me in, dude.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're just one of those bands that just never seem to get quite the popularity. That just could never kind of get that momentum to kind of push them over the edge.
Yeah, for sure, man. So tell us about this album art, man, because this record has a really cool album cover.
That was sick. Thank you very much. So that was another Fiverr. I mean, everything I've done on this album was Fiverr. Honestly, I can't remember the exact name. It's in the credits of the album. I want to say he was either from Bangladesh or Indonesia, which was weird. So I'd go to Fiverr and look for like death metal art, black metal album art, look at all these like keywords. And a lot of times it's like Bangladesh, Indonesia, India, that for whatever reason they're crazy into like the metal graphics. And I'd had this idea, like I was like, I don't know, I kind of want it to be me, because I'm going to, again, the idea wasn't even to do a CD, but once the idea of the CD was there, like, well, now I got to get a cover. And I'd actually reached out to somebody here locally from one of the, actually in the Malevolent Creation Circle, some of those guys that I ran with, the guy who does some of their art, and, you know, just the whole thing, like, hey, I'll get with you, and you just never did. And I said, hey, man, I got to move on. I can't be chasing people around. And so I found somebody on Fiverr, and I threw the idea. I said, hey, man, I need to be on a pile of skulls playing to an audience behind me. And I kind of like the old thrash albums, because, you know what you're getting when you look at a thrash album, like, oh, that's a thrash album. So I kind of wanted that concept of like nuclear wasteland, kind of crumbling buildings, but me kind of standing there on a pile of bones. Maybe like I'd had something to do with it or whatever. Just me holding the guitar, kind of looking like, yeah, what now? So I sent that concept to him, and he had some stuff he'd done before with other bands that said, hey, something kind of like this, but more of this or less of that. And I mean, just ridiculous. He turned it around in like, I'm not even kidding you, like 3 days. I'm like, hey, is that good? I'm like, done. Don't touch a thing. And the one cool little note on there that I did add in that's kind of hard to see, if you look in the background, there's a bunch of different flags, and those flags actually represent all the countries of people that I worked with on the album. That was real important to me that this was an international effort. Like I said, my drummer was from Slovakia. I had a singer from France. There's a singer from Germany. Again, cover art from Indonesia. I had a guy from Holland who helped do some of the mixing. So it was a really cool effort. Like I said, it was all done digitally. I mean, I'm literally sitting here in my underwear recording guitars and sending these files across the world. And 3 days later, things would come back and we'd mix it. And it's just incredible what we could do it these days. You know, nobody saw each other. You know, I don't know what anybody necessarily looks like. You know, so it's just a crazy thing. And it's like, hey, do you want to be part of this? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. Here we are.
Yeah. I mean, I believe that was the first thing that drew me in to your album, was the album art. Like, as soon as I saw that, it kind of gave me vibes of Peace Cells, Megadeth.
Yeah, it kind of has that color tone. I could see that.
Yeah, like definitely like the kind of vibe, you know, like the fucking destroyed fucking city behind it and.
Yeah, people who look at that should know what they're getting. They're going to get some kind of heavy, hard metal that's going to be coming at them. This isn't like a Bon Jovi album. You know, like you should know when you see it. And that was the idea. Because again, nobody knows who I am. I'm literally a one-man band with some hired help. I don't have a record label. There's no previous experience. So I had to like do something that people would look at and go like, oh, I'm kind of interested in this. It wasn't just like my name, you know, with a gold star on it or something like Attaboy. You know, like it had to be metal.
Well, it's definitely getting out there now, man. We're getting a lot of feedback from it, and
I definitely appreciate that. Like I said, it's just wild. You know, this whole thing is just snowballed from an idea of like, hey, let's record a couple, to, hey, we've got 10, hey, we've got 15, hey, now there's vocals, hey, let's make a CD, hey, let's publish it, hey, let's push it out there and see if anybody be interested in listening to it. And, you know, folks like you and Metal Devastation have kind of taken it on, and I appreciate that. And it's cool, you know, like I said, these songs have been in my head for 25 years. And family and friends have heard them. There's probably been 10 people who've heard these songs, and they're, your family's always going to tell you, hey, attaboy, that's great, I love that. But to put it out there and see if people will like it or not, and to get the response like, hey, these are actually really good. And there's people who know that I play guitar, like, damn, I didn't know you play like that. Like,
yeah, well, yeah, for sure, man. Hey, we listen to everything, and we're listening to this, and we're liking it, so.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm glad, and like I said, I've kind of gotten the back burner. We may do something else. I don't know if it'll be a black metal EP or maybe just some cover songs, but I don't think I have all of this out of my system yet. There's still, I think, a little more in the tank I'd like to put out.
Very cool. Speaking of black metal, I got another question from the listeners.
Let's hear it.
Lady Red wants to know, what do you prefer, bloodbaths or showers?
Why not a shower with bloodbath?
There you go.
While listening to Bloodbath Eaten.
Fuck yeah.
On repeat like a psycho, just over and over.
Endless.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That song's so badass.
Hell yeah, man. What's one of your favorite bands that really got you started as far as influences?
I think Slayer would be the one. I mean, Slayer was that bridge band for me. Like a lot of people, as a kid, I listened to what was popular on the radio, and then I kind of heard Nirvana. Nirvana got me to Metallica, and then Metallica got me to Slayer, and I went through a huge Slayer phase. They were my favorite band for the longest time, and they're still definitely top five. But Slayer, obviously I think was the most influence to me. Just as I started playing guitar, I tried to play like Slayer, do those types of riffs, and that kind of thrash with an edge. They were thrash metal, but they weren't just thrash metal about partying and kind of having a good time. It was still heavy and death metal, light. They're not growling, of course, and double bass blast, but to me it was kind of a little more than thrash plus.
Yeah, that was one of the things I always noticed about Slayer, like especially like going to a Slayer show. There's always all the death metal guys are there too, because they appealed to both crowds. Like they were definitely, considered like a thrash band, but they were definitely respected by the entire death metal community for sure, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really. What the fuck happened, man? As soon as they fucking quit, the whole world fucking went to shit.
We blame Slayer. And I guess by default we blame Kerry King. I think it's Tom Araya. I think Tom Araya is the one who really wanted to call it quits.
Tom,
I think if Tom would have kept playing, they would have kept going another 10 years.
Fuck, man.
But I think they're working on a project now or something, right?
Yes.
Kerry and,
yes.
Oh, it was Phil Anselmo, right?
Kerry and Paul Bostaph and I think Phil Anselmo. I don't know, And I've been saying that for a long time, like, because I've always seen Kerry and Phil hanging out, and they've always done all these little jam sessions where they do Pantera songs and stuff like that. And in the back of my mind for a long time, I kept thinking, when Slayer calls it quits, if they actually do it, and they did, I wonder how long it's going to take before him and Phil get together and do something. And now the rumors are fucking going around like wildfire, but it seems like it might actually be serious, and it might actually turn into something, so who knows.
Yeah, I know he's touring with like the Illegals. That's his band now, Phil Anselmo on the Illegals, and they're kind of playing, I dare say, cover versions of Pantera, but I mean, I like the nostalgia fact, but it's like,
it is cool, but I mean, it would be way cooler with Kerry King up there, and they could do some Slayer songs too, and some other
even some new stuff. He would throw a couple new ones in there. I don't think that's a band who has to record 15 songs to go tour. I think you're right. I think they got a couple songs they'll throw in there, play some Pantera, play some Slayer, and light the place up.
Oh, fuck yeah, man. That'd be awesome. I mean, everybody would be there, dude. Everybody would show support.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, I guess I'm about out of questions for you. Is there anything else you want to let the people know?
Nah, man. I really appreciate your time. Like I said, I'm just some dude from Tampa, Florida, who said, "Hey, man, if you don't do this, get out there and do it." And I'm so happy I'm did. So hopefully, maybe I can inspire someone out there who's been thinking about doing it. It's never been easier, So don't be shy or bashful about it. Go out and get a Focusrite. Go get Reaper and figure it out. There's some awesome plugins. You can again work with people on Fiverr or find people online. I mean, it's a digital age and world. The only other thing, is to check out my YouTube channel. We got some videos up there. There's a badass video for The Great Reset, the song you just played before I came on. I am super happy with that thing. I mean, again, just another Fiverr thing that the dude got it. I said, hey, the song's about this weird old biblical timey kind of thing. Can you find like old biblical pictures and focus in on these key words? And I mean, I just absolutely nailed it. I could not be more proud and happy of that lyric video. Again, I'm trying to do everything. I got a lyric video. I got things up on Customs Forge. You know, we're working with guys like you to kind of help spread the name. So it's like, I'm doing everything I can with a guy with no budget and a one-man band can do. But yeah, go check out that YouTube. Again, if you're into Rocksmith, go check it out on Customs Forge. Grab the L0rd Kha0s and play them and let me know what you think, you know. And that's it, man. Just stay metal and keep supporting local guys, you know. And who knows, maybe you see more. I do got a Bandcamp, so you want to throw a guy a couple bucks, you can. But we are on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, you know, that whole thing. You know, again, I was only going to do this once, so I'm doing what I can to be out there and get it out there and let people consume it how they want to consume it. And just appreciate your guys' time. Stay metal.
One more question. Do you think you'll do it again?
I'm thinking so. Again, it's just to what capacity, and it'll probably just be like a $2 EP or just a quick blast release. Like I said, I've got these 2 black metal rhythms I've had in my head that I want to get down. So it's just a matter of getting the time to see if I can flush them out. And you know, doing 3 or 4 songs is gonna be crazy expensive. But the bro rates I've been getting for some of these guys and working with them over and over. You know, it's not a matter of money. It's more about more about time and energy. And right now I'm kind of glad to let this one go off. It's been released about 2 months, coming up on the 3-month release, you know. So I'm kind of happy right now to kind of take a step back. I've been recording, I've been promoting, I've been pushing, I've been doing what I can. So I'm kind of looking forward to taking a little time off from the music, but don't be surprised if you see me back in some capacity.
Fuck yeah. Well, before I let you go, can I get you to make us a station tag real quick?
Absolutely. What do you need me to say, brother?
Whenever you're ready, say something like, "This is L0rd Kha0s, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio."
This is L0rd Kha0s, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
Fuck yeah, man. All right, brother. Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to blast some more L0rd Kha0s for these motherfuckers so they can go absolutely fucking crazy,
awesome.
Right?
Appreciate that. And like I said, listen to those words on Catch and No Release. It's something else, man. About a guy who kept an alligator as a sex slave. So say no more.
I love it.
And Nowhere is sung by Kyle Simons of Malevolent Creation. So that tie-in again, I got to work with him. That's been a lifelong dream. Check that off the bucket list. The singer from one of my favorite bands is singing on my album. So killer, couldn't be happier. So again, Zach, Metal Devastation Radio, appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Cheers, dude.
Cheers.
There you have it, folks. L0rd Kha0s live on the Zach Moonshine Show with Metal Devastation motherfucking Radio. Like I said earlier, put your speakers in your windows, put them in your front lawns, put them in your driveways, put them in your neighbor's fucking house. If you're living in the basement, duct tape your speakers to the ceiling and crank this motherfucking shit up loud.